everyone, it's Mr. P here and Mr. Dave. We are the Geeky Guys. And this, as you've gathered from the hat and Dave's jumper, is a tea break special, a Christmas special.
Yes, it's the annual Christmas episode. You've gone for your Geeky Guys on brand polo top of your Santa hat, which is very nice.
Yes,
And I've gone for a geeky T-shirt. It's He-Man, Prince Adam of Eternia in a Santa hat with "By the Power of Christmas."
You know, if I was holding a sword, that'd pretty much be me, Dave. Actually, that's,
might need a few more workouts in the resolution to get there, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
So yeah, it's Christmas Day. Merry Christmas Day.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to everybody that's listening and watching, if indeed they still are.
If indeed, I'm going to take the hat off because it's so warm.
Yeah, but it's hot, isn't it?
I'll just put it there to remind everybody that it's a Christmas special.
Yeah.
So because it's a Christmas special day, and it's tradition, I've gone for cheese and wine for my Christmas party. This is what this is, Dave. It's got Christmas party. Obviously, we're doing it over Zoom. But I've got my wine.
Not because of COVID, just because it was impractical to get together in time to do it.
And here you go. So I prepped my cheese there.
Look at that.
I've even got caramelised onion chutney as well. So I've got.
That's doing it properly, that is, isn't it? Well, I'm not quite as good. I've got some Coca-Cola in my Star Wars glass, and I've got a pork pie.
Oh, nice! I didn't put a pork pie on my selection. Just cheese and biscuits, but yeah. So
yeah,
I think the first thing to say is that obviously we like to do these to replace the fact that there is no Doctor Who Christmas special this year.
Yeah.
So for the last few years, we've put a video out at Christmas as our sort of replacement.
The replacement Christmas special service we've provided, haven't we? But as I'm sure you're going to mention, obviously Russell T Davies is coming back. He's back in the helm now, and the Christmas specials are going to be back from next year, aren't they?
Yes, he's confirmed they are bringing them back. So we're going to get them back. So we might not need to. This might be the last Christmas special for a while, Dave. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll do a New Year special next year, or maybe we'll still do a Christmas special, and we'll just go head to head with the Doctor Who Christmas special.
See who gets better ratings.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely hilarious, wouldn't it? With 8 million views, it's the Geeky Guys, and with just 1 million, it's the Doctor Who Christmas special.
Yeah, somehow I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's dreamland, isn't it? That's dreamland.
It is. Generally, then, Mr. Dave, have you had a good year?
Yeah, it's been all right. I think the world's still been a bit weird with COVID still not quite gone away, and kind of knew that anyway. But yeah, I think things are starting to come back again. People are starting to get together again and do stuff. Certain businesses haven't quite recovered. Certain entertainment sort of things aren't quite where they were before COVID. Certainly pubs and cinemas and things like that have certainly suffered a bit even this year. But yeah, I think it's been all right, and it's certainly been a good year for TV and films, hasn't it? I mean, I think we said the year before there was that much stuff that was postponed and put off. Was like, oh, next year is going to be decent, and it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
But unfortunately, there's nothing too major life-wise to comment on, like engagements or marriages or children or anything like that. Unfortunately, well, actually, for either of us,
there is actually. Because earlier this year, my sister got married. Actually.
Yes. Hold on.
Yeah, so I went to that wedding. That was very nice.
That was good.
But yeah, no. Yeah. So this year, then let's have a look back then over this year, then, Dave, and see from a geeky point of view on the Geek Sphere.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of us, we've done some good interviews this year.
Yes,
some decent interviews. We've had in Aaron Walke and Patrick Krebs.
Which, just interjecting there, Dave, we talked in that interview about the next set of episodes of Star Trek Prodigy, which are out now.
Yes, they are. Yeah, I have started working through them. I think I've got maybe a couple left to watch, I think, to take us to date. But yeah, that's been very good.
Yeah, they came out just like a month ago or so. It was very, very not so long ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, that's going to be good. And obviously, we had Tom Costantino as well, who was producer and quite high up on Seth MacFarlane's The Orville.
Yes, yeah, it was fun talking to him actually, especially about set design and that kind of thing.
Quite interesting. Yeah, and whether we're going to have a new season or not, it's still a bit up in the air. So we're going to have to see what happens there. But the new series this past year gone was pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much to get. We're not going to get through everything from this year tonight. No. Today, but we do want to mention a few things.
Yeah, I mean, let's start off before we get into the quagmire, which is TV series and films, which, as you said earlier at the start of the podcast, we could while we're off air, that we could talk about it for hours, like all night. But let's firstly just go back to the post we put on social media last week and week before. We did a kind of challenge each other to pick our 6 favourite films to watch at Christmas time. Yeah. And they could either be actual Christmas films or just films that tended to be shown at Christmas or you like to watch at Christmas or were rerun at Christmas. And so we went through those, and that was quite cool. It was interesting in that a lot of the films, I think, for both of us, it was probably, like movies that we've grown up with. I think there was an element of that, and then just some classic Christmas films as well. I mean, I went for we both actually went for Superman as one of our picks, didn't we? Which isn't a Christmas film, but it's just something that was on at Christmas every year for years.
In fact, along that vein, actually, what I once watched it on television once. It obviously a rerun, 1978, but we had a VHS at home.
Yeah.
For those people that don't know what a VHS is, it's a big tape, it's like a DVD, but it's a tape.
But it's plastic, yeah.
And it was recorded off TV. And even now, when I watch Superman the movie, because I used to watch it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Where my love of Superman came from. And even now, when it gets to like the bit where the adverts are supposed to be. So
yeah, you do, don't you?
Helicopter save when she says, "Who are you?" and he says, "A friend," and then flies off. That's where it went to the adverts, and then you got like, "Yes, I've got a sale." So I always, I still think now when I'm watching it about those adverts where they should be.
She's so used to that.
Yeah,
it's so nice when you can actually watch a film through without the adverts. But yeah, back in the day on the old ITV and Channel 4, it was adverts like every 15-20 minutes.
Yeah,
but yes, I think there's like that's a good example of that, and I think one you mentioned as well, Short Circuit, again isn't a Christmas film, but is one that's been run at Christmas over the years.
Yeah, I think I said on the video,
family film.
I kind of included it because I've not really seen it around that much just lately. I've not actually seen it on at Christmas.
I've got it on DVD, so I could watch it.
Yeah, so have I. I'd forgot about it till you me to this.
In fact, that's probably about coming up for a reboot, isn't it? Short Circuit.
Yes.
If we say it, it'll happen.
It'll happen temporarily, and we'll come back later on. But and I also said Die Hard, which we know is
Die Hard. Yeah. Which we even did again this year. We went to one of our friends, Mr. Frith, and with one of our mates, and watched it over there, didn't we, with a bottle of wine, which was pleasant.
Literally, it was the day we recorded my pick the night we came back from watching that.
Yeah. Yes, you did, didn't you? Yeah.
So it's set at Christmas. It's at a Christmas party, and he says "Merry Christmas" in it.
Christmas.
You can't get more Christmassy than that.
And I don't really know why there was the hoo-ha a few couple of 2-3 years ago. People saying wasn't it a Christmas film? It's always been a Christmas film. There's never been any question about it. So yeah, that's always really good, and we rewatched that again. Just trying to think of some of those. You gave a couple of classics.
Actual classic Christmas films. So I went for The Holiday and Love Actually. But I do like those. They are really nice, easy to watch Christmas films.
It's interesting that you mentioned Love Actually, because I was on another podcast the other day. A couple of my mates, it was their 100th episode, and they were doing like a almost like a Eurovision Song Contest, but it was for Christmas songs.
Right.
And so they put a bit of a list together, and obviously we had to do the votes 1 to 6, 8, 10, and 12. So as 4 of us went on and did that, but there was some interesting conversation on that as to like, do like songs that are in TV shows or films, can you have them as like proper canon Christmas songs? Because I kind of said I quite enjoyed like Billy Mack and Christmas Is All Around from Love Actually, even though it's a rip-off of Love Is All Around by Wet Wet Wet, it's still technically a Christmas song for me.
They released it as a song. That you could get, and I actually have it, and I do quite like it, just for a joke every now and again.
Yeah, it's for a bit of a laugh to stick on.
You could go with having Mary on, Put Up Your Christmas Tree,
Proper Crimbo
as well.
Proper Crimbo.
It's one of those like jokey songs.
Yeah, it's good to have them in there. And of course, you went for one of the older ones as well. It's a Wonderful Life.
I did, and talking about our good friend Mr. Frith, he was the first one that's recommended I watch that film, and he has a tradition every year where he watches it. And I watched it once and really enjoyed it.
This could be one of these really mad ones where it's a really old film and you say, but I watched it in 2018.
Something like that, yeah. I mean, this film it's black and white, which tells you how old it is.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that got me about it, because I love gossip from like behind the scenes, so I like the fact that the whole town for that film was built on the backlot. The whole town was built just for that that film, which nowadays is nothing. They've done it on Superman and Lois.
Oh yeah, of course,
and so on. But back then, that was a big thing. Build an entire town just for a film.
Oh God, yeah, just a bit.
And I liked little bits of information like that, as you know, Dave. I picked so Superman, Short Circuit, Die Hard, Love Actually, The Holiday, and It's a Wonderful Life. They were
another one that I picked that again. It's not quite as questions as Die Hard, but I also went for Gremlins as well, and I mean that is Christmas as well. You know, the Billy's dad's bringing him a mogwai for Christmas, so that's got to be a canon Christmas film, hasn't it? But that again is one that I watched when I was a kid, and one that's been repeated at Christmas over the years as well. So thought that was a good one to chuck in there, and. One of the other ones I chucked in was a new one, a BBC film called Lost Christmas with Eddie Izzard. And that's well worth a watch. It's not something that's repeated, strangely, which I thought it was going to be one of them classics that would be repeated every year, but it hasn't been. But I have got it on DVD, and I would say to watch that sometime, especially if you like Doctor Who. It's got a very kind of redemption, time travel-y kind of going back, saving the day kind of vibe to it. Okay. It's good, and Eddie Izzard very good in it as well.
I've not seen it, but I think as soon as you've now mentioned it, I'll put it on my list for this Christmas.
You'll have to borrow it off me next time I see you.
Well, what's left of this Christmas, I suppose.
Whatever that is. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's good.
Put that on the list. We'll do that. So this year, then we were going to look back. Lots of stuff's happened this year, geeky wise.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
more than you actually think when you start looking into it. You go, actually, it was a really big year from the geek sphere, really, wasn't it? Lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about some of these, but I mean, Obi-Wan, we got Kenobi as a series, which was amazing. Strange New Worlds, which was massive. Prodigy, of course, came out earlier this year.
Yeah,
like we've just said.
And the amount of years we've been waiting for the Obi-Wan series as well, and to continue that story. So that was really nice to finally get that back and get Ewan McGregor back again in the role, which was important as well.
Just one of the things you put on the list on our research, Dave, here was Hawkeye. I didn't realise that was this year.
Yeah, it was. It was earlier this year. I thought it was year before, but it was actually started this year.
Christmas again. Is it a Christmas series? I don't know.
That was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Mandalorian series 2. That
was fantastic again.
Series 1.
That was not quite so good. And I've spoken to a few people recently that have said the best episode in the Boba Fett series was the one where the Mandalorian came into it. So it's kind of show. He's one of those characters, though, that it was a bit up in the air as to whether it was going to work with just him on his own. And I don't know, it doesn't quite hit the mark. I still watched it, still enjoyed it, but I don't think it was groundbreaking or anything. But
it worked. But
yeah,
I think they could have done a lot with it. But look, we're you know, as critics go, you know, we can all sit here and say coulda, woulda, shoulda. We can all say, oh, we would have done this, would have done the other. And
yeah,
normally we're the first people to say, well, maybe we could have done this one. But I think, you know, bearing in mind what's happened with Superman, which we'll come to in a minute, I think we have to, as fans now, just kind of accept that that's what it is, and we've got to love it for what it is if we're a fan of the show. Yes, we can critique it, but it's there. Let's enjoy it and see what they come out with next. And that takes us on to Superman. So way back in 2013, Henry Cavill donned the cape for Man of Steel, the film. And since then, went into starring, of course, Batman v Superman, Justice League, and the big cameo in Black Adam, which also came out earlier this year.
Yes, it did.
It's a big thing about trying to get Henry Cavill back as Superman in the DCEU. And everyone was like, yes, come on, it's going to happen. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was really going for it. Come on, let's have him as a cameo. And they managed to get him. And they got him in the UK. They took him down there. They got a suit for him. They filmed a bit. He was very excited. He put his announcement online after the studio told him he could. I'm back as Superman. It's going to be great. Lots of information flying around about what might happen and how many films he might be in. And are we going to get Man of Steel 2? Because that was going to be fantastic. We then, on one of our podcasts, Dave said, we did it. We told them to do it and they've done it. That's great. Wade.
Yeah.
And then James Gunn came in and Warner Brothers went, well, you can look after it. And they dumped him and said, no, we're not going to do that anymore. I want to do my own thing. I'm writing it, I'm directing it, and I'm going to do my own. And everything else that you all guys are all excited about, that you all wanted, we're not doing anymore.
No.
It's gutting. I'm sure Henry Cavill felt the same because he was so excited about coming back.
I did hear today, apparently, that he only had a verbal contract, that he didn't have a proper written contract. So I suppose it was easy enough for him to make the change with that being the case.
If the studio tells you, you can announce it.
Yeah.
That's,
So, we're going to be expecting some sort of young Superman or Superman origin story again, which they've got to get right, really. I think that's the only thing to say. They've got to get it right. Otherwise, they're going to be massively lambasted, aren't they, if they get it wrong?
Just because it's Christmas, I'm going to be positive about this. When we get into next year and we re-talk about it, I might not be. But because it's Christmas, I'm going to be positive about it, Dave. I'm going to say...
have that festive cheer and give them the chance.
I'm going to say, if you've got someone like James Gunn, who's going to reboot this franchise and do it again from the beginning, he's starting with Superman, which makes sense because it's one of your main characters.
Yeah.
And we've said before, if you get Superman right, you're on a good track. If you don't get Superman right, the rest of it's a bit like
we were saying the other day, they've kind of doing okay with Batman at the minute, aren't they, with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson?
Yes.
That's been well received. So if, as they've suggested online, and they do bring him into the DCEU proper, like you say, point a positive slant on it, we could end up with a good Batman and good Superman again. That's the hope, obviously.
Sorry, I'm into my cheese, Dave.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we thought it was all a done deal and set up with Henry Cavill, but unfortunately that all went down the pan, and he's now running the new Warhammer franchise, isn't he? On TV
he just announced that that's what he's doing, and let's face it, that's something else that he absolutely loves. I mean, it was we live in the Midlands here, quite close to Nottingham, so he was up here earlier this year, wasn't he? At Warhammer, where they make all the stuff, and he was looking at all the stuff there. So he loves it, and I mean, I was a bit annoyed with Graham Norton on the show when he went on, and Graham Norton during COVID. They kind of took the pee out of him a little bit for this.
It was. It wasn't well received, was it? People didn't like they did that.
People sort of said, "Hang on a minute, don't upset our Henry," and I agree with them. Why would you do that? Why would you poke fun at him for something?
It wasn't very nice, and this is why we've always said there should be like a more niche chat show where you can actually have people come on and talk about geeky things and not take the pee out of it.
And we are available if anyone's
Yes,
watching.
we're always available. Yes, 365 days a year, 24/7. You know, if you got somebody to interview, we'll do it. We'll do it.
We're very cheap. We're very cheap.
Yeah, very cheap.
Cheese
If
and
you
wine.
don't do it, Sky will. Yeah, I think we ought to talk about obviously some of the things we've had this year. I mean, for a start, one nice thing to mention would be we've obviously had a bit of a return to the 80s. We had Top Gun Maverick come out earlier this year after
Absolutely
a year
awesome.
delay, which was brilliant, which was really good, and I think actually lived up to expectation, which I think starting off wouldn't have been a given and wasn't a definite, but I think they did a really good job with it, and it was enough of close to the original and enough of modernising it a little bit, and yeah, I think they just did a really good job with that.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
So it was nice to have Top Gun back and Tom Cruise, and it was nice that they got the Iceman back as well. We got Val Kilmer to with a bit of jiggery pokery to star in the film as well. That was a really nice touch.
There's something on our list here. I've just realised is not on there.
Yeah,
I mean, we're just talking about going back. I'm looking at things. Ghostbusters Afterlife.
yeah, but that was the year before, wasn't it? Was that 2021?
Yeah, was that the year before?
I've got a feeling it was the end of last year, yeah, because I did look at that because I was going to put it on, but I'm sure it was the end of 2021.
Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly and all that. That was awesome as well, just to say.
Yeah, that was really good. And again, they did a fantastic job with that as well, didn't they? Bringing the old cast back and bringing the Reitmans together to do it. And, you know, obviously it was kind of very timely because obviously Ivan Reitman passed away, sadly, not too long after the film came out. So it was very timely that they did it then, and they did a great job. And obviously the other thing we've had from back from the 80s is Willow, which is another Lucasfilm product. Ron Howard, and it was a classic fantasy film, Swords, Might and Magic from about 86, 87, something like that, I think it was. Warwick Davis, who's been in lots of geeky stuff like Star Wars and Doctor Who, and I'm surprised that he's not been in Star Trek yet, actually, but he may get there one day. There's still time. But yeah, I mean, I assume that you've not watched any of that yet, but
I haven't, although I was reading something recently where it did say that it wasn't quite as well received, at least by the critics, as much as it perhaps could have been.
I think, yeah, I can see critically why it might not be like made out to be great, but I think in terms of fans of the original, it's got everything in there. They're very faithful to the original material.
Yeah,
the style of how it's shot is similar but modern, and the cast and the story work as a continuation from the original, which I think is always quite nice when it's not a reboot or a prequel, when they actually carry on a story and you want to see what happened after. So I think they've done a good job of that. And yeah, it's really, really nice to carry on that story and see the characters again. I suppose while we're on fantasy, we ought to mention Rings of Power, which again I think you've got to watch as well, haven't you?
I have. I was talking about this recently. I can't remember if it was with you, Dave, or was with someone else, but I've not watched it, and I did say I've not watched it yet, but it was one of those shows that they spent absolute fortune on, right? They spent millions, billion on this show. Excuse me. And it came out, and it was almost like, oh, it's out. That's it. There weren't any massive, great, big PR surrounding it.
No, it wasn't great fanfare.
Maybe they thought they didn't need it.
Yeah.
But I think they did, because you didn't really hear much about it.
Yeah, I think it's difficult with this. There's been a lot of critical remarks about it, and I think in its sort of defence, they're kind of talking about an age which isn't documented very well by Tolkien. There's kind of some basic things laid out, but there's a lot of filler in there, and I think Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, even when you watch those original movies, some of the filler stuff was some of the less good, some of the worst stuff. So I think that's going to happen. So I think people are, but I think what they've actually got in there and how they're telling the story and how they've set it up is pretty good. You know, in as we said before they brought it out, what you wanted to see was the Sauron coming to power, the forging of the rings, and how that fits nicely into like the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings Silmarillion going on. And I think they've done a good job of that. And it was kind of a bit of a slow burner in the first series, but I think the second series is going to be really good.
And I was just about to say there, just because we've had one series, there's more to come.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's about 4 or 5 series, isn't there, I think, in total.
So they have a lot of time to develop different story arcs and also map into what we've already seen.
Yeah, that's true. And I suppose we ought to mention a bit more on Star Wars as well. Like I said earlier, we've had Boba Fett, which was okay. We had the second season of The Mandalorian, which was really good. And that's going to be interesting going into the third series to see where they go with that. I mean, we've already had a de-aged Luke Skywalker come into it, haven't we? So there's every chance that you could see some old classic characters in there.
No reason why not. We've also got, I assume they're still doing the TV series Ahsoka.
Ahsoka, yeah, that's
I'm
still
really looking forward to. I've been watching a lot more of Clone Wars and Bad Batch stuff recently. So it's going to be nice to actually see a proper live, because we've seen live action Ahsoka in Mandalorian and in Boba Fett, but we've not actually. She's getting her own series. So that's
her own series. Yeah, that's going to be good. We look forward to that as well.
Series that's not happening, I think now, or it's in the air somewhat. Is it one that Patty Jenkins was going to be involved with?
Which one's that?
Was it a live action Rogue Squadron?
Oh right, yeah, I think that's on hold at the minute.
She's had a few issues lately with the studio, hasn't she? Bless her. So
yeah,
like from what I gather, and this is not in any way completely 100% potentially accurate, but from what I gather, that she wasn't unable. She was I'm assuming it's because of James Gunn taking over the WB stuff.
Yeah, possibly. And there was the lead actress from that show was sacked, dropped from a job, wasn't he, as well? So, but that made it out to have massive rewrites.
If you're going to do a new Superman reboot, which we mentioned earlier, you're going to then look at reintroducing all these characters again. So
yeah,
we think, we don't know, but we think the Superman and Wonder Woman cameos from The Flash have been dropped, but we're not sure. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, then obviously Wonder Woman, in terms of Gal Gadot, is not going to be the one they're going to use. So bringing out a third film probably wouldn't fit in with that vision of where they want to go.
No,
they wanted to they were happy with the casting, but they wanted to change the story a little bit to kind of fit in. And Patty Jenkins wasn't prepared to do that. That's what I gather. That might not be 100% accurate. So don't. But anyway, that's all politics. It's Christmas. We're not talking.
Yeah, that's true. But in terms of Marvel, I mean, it'd be interesting, obviously, just to see where we are with that at the minute. Obviously, we had Thor: Love and Thunder came out this year. Obviously, as we mentioned earlier, we had Hawkeye, we had Falcon and Winter Soldier, which was really good. We had Miss Marvel, which has had good reports, and people seem to be liking that as well. So that's positive. We had obviously the latest Spider-Man film as well, where they brought the 3 Spider-Men together with Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire. That was really good. I thought that could have really been messed up, and they made a good job with that, I think.
Yeah. That then led into Doctor Strange Multiverse.
Doctor Strange too, yeah.
Which I thought was quite good as well.
And then we've had the TV series as well. Obviously, we've had Loki, which there's a second season coming out next year. We've had WandaVision, which was all right once that got going. That was pretty good. So yeah, it's interesting. I think we're good up to this point, and I think it'll be interesting where Marvel takes things going forward. Obviously, we're going to have a new Ant-Man next year as well.
I did read the other day, I don't know how true this is, I just read this the other week, that I think potentially the studio behind Thor
have
submitted it for some kind of awards, either Oscars or something.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually going to put a lot of Love and Thunder forward for like Oscars and things, which I thought was interesting.
Oh well. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
a win. You never know. As we've talked a bit about Star Wars, we ought to mention Star Trek.
Yeah,
One
what a
of our
year for
favourites.
Star
We've
Trek.
touched on Prodigy.
What a couple of years for Star Trek. Not only are we carrying on Discovery, which is fantastic.
Discovery season 5 next year.
Yeah, but we also had Strange New Worlds, which came out, which
Yeah.
is back to Captain Christopher Pike and his 5-year, 10 years captain of the Enterprise before Captain James Kirk. Now we've
Yeah.
had James Kirk appear in the show, you know, as a cameo in an episode towards the end
Yeah.
of series 1. And if they keep that casting,
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to say who it is, just in case anyone doesn't know. Keep that as a surprise. I know it's been out a while, but just in case you don't know what I'm going to say. But I like the casting. I thought it worked quite
Yeah,
well.
it is good. Yeah, and that'll carry on into season 2 as well. I think you'll be seeing them a lot more. But yeah, I think Strange New Worlds has been really good. We kind of thought it would be, because you'd kind of in Discovery, you'd already kind of met a few of the characters and you'd seen the sets and stuff. And I think pretty much the outcry from all the Star Trek fans when they saw that was, it's just got to be a TV series. It will just work. And it does.
I thought originally that was always the plan.
Yeah.
I don't know this, but I'm not sure now, because the bridge set they built for the Enterprise for Discovery, they changed it for the series and made it a lot smaller and a little bit more like the one that we know and love from the original show. So
yeah.
maybe they originally didn't think about doing that and changed their mind later on. We'll
They
have to
changed their mind, did it?
get them on for an interview. We'll have to ask if that was ever planned.
Yeah, asking to see if that was the plan. And while we're still on Star Trek, obviously we can't really move off that without talking about Star Trek Picard.
No,
Obviously, we've had the second season this year. We've got season 3 with all the with a lot of the TNG cast coming back next year.
yes,
But that's been fantastic as well. Obviously, we had the good story with John Delancey's Q came back in, who's coming to the end of his life, end of his existence. Or is he? It's Q. You don't know. He might still reappear later, in a different form. But yeah, you had him, didn't we? And we had obviously
young guy.
Briones. She came back in, and obviously Brent Spiner made an appearance as well as Dr. Sung.
We're not going to talk too much about the next series of Picard from the trailer in case you've not watched it, but it does look epic.
It does, yeah. It's kind of like, I suppose it's kind of they're trying to like put a proper line under the next generation, aren't they, and kind of finish it properly and bring that cast back together and kind of finish the story. I think so they're not going to. Well, Patrick Stewart has said they're pretty much not going to do anything more after season 3.
No.
But I think that's right. I think at the end of the day, they're doing partly what the fans wanted, and the kind of the actors are telling the story that they want to tell, and that was one of the reasons that Patrick Stewart was happy to come on board with it, because it was telling the story of Picard that he wanted to explore himself and he found interesting. So I think that's going to wrap it up very, very nicely in season 3 with some of the old Enterprise crew in there with him. Yeah, that's going to be really, really good. And I think we ought to probably just mention just quickly a few of the other things from this year. We've had obviously we've had the new Addams Family content Wednesday on Netflix.
Absolutely amazing.
It's been really good. Everybody seems to be loving it.
I wasn't sure, but I must admit I watched it and I was hooked, and I continued. It was one of those binge watch.
Yeah.
It's a good show when you're like 2 a.m. and you're thinking, well, I'll just watch one more.
Well, just one more, yeah. That's always the marker, isn't it, on a good show? But yeah, and obviously it's been a long while since we've had any Addams Family content. I think there's been a little bit of animation, maybe a bit in comics and things, but we've not had a lot lately. No, so it's nice to revisit that.
It's about 4 or 5 iterations of Wednesday that I can think of.
Yeah. I mean, you just look at that as a bit of an extended universe. I mean, you could literally do a TV series about any of the characters pretty much, couldn't you?
You could.
And it would do all right to an extent. I think you could.
I think, yeah, you could. I can see why they went with Wednesday, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the key
Kind
one.
of she kind of encompasses elements of all of them together.
Yeah.
So she's got bits of mum in, bits of dad in, little bits of influence from Uncle Fester. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bits of cousin it, and so on. So you've got this character who, I think it works. I think it just works. And
Yeah.
great
And they
casting.
have said as well, just the last week, that the second series you are going to get a bit of a closer look at like the family as a whole and home life and some of the extended members of the family, which would be good to see as well. Kind of taking it back to the movies again, and obviously great that Christina Ricci was in there as her teacher as well, which was really cool that they had her as part of the production. So that's been really good. As you mentioned earlier, obviously we had Black Adam with the Henry Cavill cameo, which we need to watch. We have had the final series of his Dark Materials. Philip Pullman has come out end of this year. I've not got up to date with them. I've not sort of watched loads of them, but it is well respected and critically acclaimed, and I need to sit and go through them properly at some point. But that's pretty good.
Talking Star Wars, we also had Andor Series 1.
Yes, we've had Andor.
There is a Series 2 coming early next year.
Yeah.
I can't wait for. It's another series where Boba Fett, it was like, yeah, all right, we could watch another one. Andor was like, oh no, got to watch the next one to find out what happened.
It kept you engrossed in it, didn't it? The story, and it was a bit of power politics and money and the empire and building the rebellion.
What's interesting is we don't really have any massive big characters that we know and love from Star Wars in this.
No, that's the thing. There's nothing that familiar, is there?
No,
it is a new story.
Mandalorian at least had nicknamed Baby Yoda, Grogu, so you had something recognizable. You also, and obviously Boba Fett, you had Boba Fett, but you had Luke Skywalker again in those shows as well. But this one there was no one that we really know. Well, not really. That we they mention the Emperor a lot.
Yeah, that's it.
So they can do.
But it stands on its own well, doesn't it? Just stand on its own well. And I think just to kind of finish off sort of our mentions from this year, we've got to kind of go back to Henry Cavill in The Witcher, because obviously he's not going to be doing that job going forward either. No. It's now been passed on to Liam Hemsworth to pick up the helm of Geralt of Rivia.
I think that's going to work. I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he'll do a good job and he'll continue how the series has been. It's a bit weird changing a lead character in a show like that, sort of third season in, but
you've got two things to think about there. Number one, Henry Cavill was obviously looking at Superman.
Yeah,
that was obviously his thought. He's going to be Superman.
Well, was he looking at Warhammer?
Or number two, was looking at Warhammer all along.
Yeah,
I mean, he was maybe thinking he could do Superman and Warhammer together.
Yeah, potentially.
But anyhow, we've still
so again, it's a bit of a shame that he's exiting the project, but it's mainly his decision. They didn't want him to leave. They kind of then bring in Liam Hemsworth in as kind of reaction to him kind of thinking he was going to move on and do other things. But I think season 2 of The Witcher has been really good. Continued the story very well and sort of reintroduced some of the characters in the first series as well. The bards come back into it and Yennefer, and I think it's going to be interesting for series 3. I think if the writing is as good and the tone's still the same, like you say, I think it could work and could still be quite decent. Well,
I can see why they picked him to replace Henry Cavill. I think in the once you put him in the costume and wig and everything else, he's going to look pretty similar. Yeah. So I think that's going to work. Let's look forward then a little bit to because there's so much coming next year as well.
Yeah, I think the first thing we've got to mention really has got to be Doctor Who and the return of RTD. I mean, that's going to be a big thing for next year.
So for those people that don't know what we're talking about, RTD stands, of course, for Russell T Davies, who was showrunner and producer not producer so much, it was Phil Collington, wasn't it? But showrunner for Doctor Who when it was rebooted in 2005.
Yeah.
And he he was showrunner all the way through. Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant.
David Tennant, yeah.
And then Stephen Moffat took over, who did a fantastic job with Matt Smith.
Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi.
I think was really good. And then Chris Chibnall took over with Jodie Whittaker. The show maybe didn't do quite as well as they'd like it to. Let's just be nice and correct and try and be optimistic here. But now RTD has the helm again. And the whole production's gone through some changes. The BBC have sold the rights to Doctor Who to Bad Wolf, and Bad Wolf have been bought out by Sony. And so lots of stuff.
They're also going to be streaming on Disney Plus outside of the UK and Ireland. So you can have Doctor Who on a big streaming platform out there in the world, which is going to be good for the show and good for bringing in money for the show and global awareness of it and promotion of the brand.
Global awareness now of Doctor Who, but I think it's already there. But,
it'll help.
But we hope.
Helps. But and of course we've got before all that, we've got the 60th episode to look forward to with David Tennant and Catherine Tate returning.
We've got, I think, is it 3 episodes, including the 60th, to come next year with David Tennant. So he's doing 3 specials, very much like Series 4.
So it's going to be 3 specials, a Christmas special, then
Series 4 with Honourable. He did the specials leading up to the Sound of Drums after the Time Lords, where he regenerated. But he's kind of doing the same thing again. So he's back, and he's going to do like 3. I think it's 3, or is it 4? 3 specials.
I think it's 3
up to the 60th, and including the 60th, which is where we then assume he's going to regenerate into the
Shooty Gatwick
Doctor.
Which is going to be really good. Did you see the post that I put up on Geeky Guys the other day with the costumes?
I was just saying they've just released that. I don't know if I like it.
I kind of do. I think that there's kind of like the tweed and the kind of eccentricness is kind of there. I think it will kind of be one of them. We'll see how it looks on screen and see how long it takes to get used to it and that. But my gut is they're going to be good. And obviously you've got Russell T Davies behind you. You can't go too far wrong. That's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know. There were some comparisons there with sort of like Patrick Troughton's costume a little bit. And we know from the leaked picture that's now disappeared that the TARDIS is going a little bit more interior First Doctor, stroke 8th, I think was mentioned. So I've not seen the picture, I've just seen the description.
I think it's going to be big and epic from what I've seen console route.
I just don't know about that costume, the new one. I was speaking to another member of our team yesterday, and she kind of said, yeah, but for the guy that's playing it, the costume kind of fits.
Yeah, it has to suit the person, doesn't it?
And I'm like, okay, fair enough. I don't want to judge. So yeah, let's go. Why not? We'll see what happens. And then I did kind of follow up, and I did kind of say to her, I suppose it could change anyway or be added to or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. They get changed as they go on anyway, don't they?
But I don't know.
That's true.
Hopefully we'll learn to love it, but it should be fine.
Yeah, there'll be lots of people cosplaying as them in the years coming, so I'm sure it'll be out there a lot. I suppose the other things we ought to mention really
the
with
conversation spiraled completely out of control after that. I talked about Doctor Who, then I started talking about my own sonic screwdriver I wanted to design and build, and then about an hour later I think I bored her silly and she went away. But
oh dear, that's about it.
And that's a whole new podcast,
whole new podcast, whole new show.
I just waffle on about a Sonic I'd like to make. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, you can be the new Adam Savage, and it can be 1 hour build Sonic screwdrivers.
It won't be a 1 hour build with me.
No, it wouldn't be like a 1 year build.
A 1 decade build, and I've just got the
build.
shaft sorted now. We just need to work on the electronics.
Yes, we need to work on the electronics. So yeah, obviously coming up this year, we've got some good stuff coming up. We've got the 2nd season of Good Omens.
Yes,
Neil Gaiman, To the World.
To the world.
Yes,
Michael Sheen and David Tennant back. That's going to be amazing.
So looking forward to that. I think you're just about to start the Sandman season 1, aren't you?
Yeah, I watched the trailer. I literally watched the trailer the other night. In fact, you were here, Dave, weren't you? I think you were over at Geeky Guys HQ today, and we put the trailer on. and it looked all right. So that's one to sit one evening.
Yeah, he doesn't really give you too much from the trailer. There's a lot of stuff missed out of it. But yeah, I think you'll like that, and that's done really well, and it's been greenlit quite quickly. So we've got second season next year, as we mentioned earlier. Hopefully, we're going to have the Flash movie with Michael Keaton appearing. Whether we get Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill, we don't know. Probably not.
We don't think so now. I don't think as fans we think so. But
it would make sense for them not to be in it if they're not going to be in the universe going forward.
We've also got Supergirl in this film, though.
Yes, we have. Yeah,
a sequence is shot in the UK, in London, in fact. So, and her costume is very similar in sort of the emblem design to Henry Cavill's Superman. So we don't know how that's going to fit in yet.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting.
I mean, we had this conversation the other day, Dave. We have a multiverse. So, and we know we've got a multiverse because we know in the TV series The Flash, when they had the crossover event, we had the Miller's Flash appear. That means that the TV universe and the movie universe are separate ones, but they are in the same existence.
Yeah. So they could come together.
So there's no reason why we can't bring Henry back later as Superman, an older Superman.
Yeah. I mean, I know in one of the Arrow episodes, there was quite a big thing at the time when they mentioned Bruce Wayne. And Oliver McQueen mentions Bruce Wayne and like his charitable work and stuff, which got everybody talking a little bit. It was like, oh, is Batman going to appear in Arrow? But no, it didn't happen.
They went with Batgirl instead, which again, they only did 2 series and then that got cancelled. A lot of the DC shows got cancelled. No more Stargirl got cancelled now after, was it 4 series or 5?
Yeah.
Supergirl got cancelled. The Flash is the only last one running, and that's about to finish. Well, not sorry, the last one running. The Flash is just finishing. They're on their last series.
Yeah. Stargirl's finished, I think, hasn't it now? 3 series.
3 or 4. Anyway, Superman and Lois is the only one that's still technically running.
Yeah, that's still going.
Series 3 looks quite good from what we've seen online already, so can't wait to see Series 3.
That's going to be good. What is interesting, I can't remember if I mentioned this to you, but obviously DC's Titans on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Obviously, just lately, I've had a lot of Batman and Superman related stuff in there, and obviously, we've had Bruce Wayne in Glenn, but they've not actually shown Superman on camera. He's been talked about, mentioned quite a lot, but he's not been shown because obviously Connor Kent, Superboy's in there.
Yeah.
So you do just wonder: are they perhaps holding back on bringing Superman into Titans because they're going to use the Superman that they're going to use in the new DC universe?
I would say probably that wasn't the plan. I don't think that would have been planned.
Yeah, so whether it works out like that, I don't know. But yeah, that's Titans has been very good. That's just finished its 4th series. That's another one that you need to catch up with as well, isn't it? But especially if you like your Superman, because especially like Series 3, there was a lot of Batman and Superman stuff in it.
You told me all this stuff and you're really excited for me to watch this, and I've still not caught up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, let's just have a quick wander through because I want to talk about New Year's resolutions, Dave.
Yeah, we'll just go through this quickly.
So very quickly then, I'll read a few, you read a few from our notes. So Good Omen Series 2 we've talked about, Sandman Series 2 we've talked about, the Flash movie we've just talked about. The next
Batman 2.
Sorry?
The Batman 2.
The Batman 2.
That might be out next year. It could be the year after. We're not sure yet. But
and an interesting point is that they're potentially looking. There was a rumor that they might bring this Batman as the one for the prime Batman
into the DC universe. Yeah, which would be good. But yeah, Robert Pattinson has been really good, hasn't he? And the film was held in high regard. And
I remember saying when he first got announced and we did a podcast, and I said to you, I think it's going to be epic, and I think people are going to underestimate how good it's going to be. Yeah. Because they only think about him as a sort of a vampire-y type character, but I think you beef him out, put him in a suit, and I said that exact thing. I think he'll play it really well, and he did, and it was exactly.
Yeah, I think he was a better Batman than what people thought he was going to be. I think he's Bruce Wayne, although he didn't do a lot as Bruce Wayne anyway. Obviously, he'll need some more developing, but that's fair enough. But yeah, I thought he got the Batman side spot on. It was a really good film. Obviously, we had the Riddler and we had Joker in there at the end as well, didn't we? And
Set right
thought
up
that
for a
was
next
good.
film. They're obviously
Yeah,
planning so many.
yeah, had to be done. So yeah, that was fantastic. So we're looking forward to that if it comes out next year or early 24.
The Witcher Series 3, we've just mentioned Liam Hemsworth taking up
Liam
the
Hemsworth helmet.
helm there, yeah. Mandalorian Series 3, again, we kind of just touched on earlier when we talked about Star Wars.
Yeah,
Lost
the
Star Wars.
continuing adventures of Mando and Grogu, pretty much.
And of course, Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Well, we've already mentioned. Loki Series 2, which again, that's going to be hilarious because Tom Hiddleston's so good as Loki, isn't he?
Yeah, that was very good as well.
I remember seeing him at a con and he came out in the full costume as Loki. The entire
can believe it.
went absolutely berserk. And the caption was, only Loki could make an entire convention hall shush. And he just goes, and they all quiet and write down to nothing.
Yeah, they would do, wouldn't they? That's fantastic, isn't it?
X-Men 97. I've no idea what that is. What's that, Dave?
It's so it's a bit of an X-Men prequel. So it's like more in line with sort of the origins, and it's going to give a bit more about like the early days of like the main team.
Right.
So that should be interesting. Secret Invasion, Marvel TV series coming out next year, which is mainly helmed by Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, and that's from a story from the comics, which they've been trying to do for a few years now. So that's going to be interesting to see that. And I think a big one for us as well. They're going to have another go at another Indiana Jones film.
They filmed it. The rumor at the moment that I read just recently was that they think someone thinks they may be filming different endings.
Oh right, yeah.
So we don't know whether there's going to be they're going to release them all, or whether they're just recording a lot and you're going to pick one.
And then pick one, yeah, so it doesn't leak.
Could be just a rumor, but the rumor was recently that they were filming different endings for it, or at least two different.
Yeah, the Dial of Destiny. So that'll be from the trailer I've seen. It looks pretty good. But it looks like an Indiana Jones film should be. But we'll see. Hopefully, it's going to be the film after The Last Crusade that we was hoping for years ago that didn't happen, and we ended up with the Crystal Skull rubbish.
You know what? I'm on the fence with that film. Most of it was all right. It's just the alien rubbish at the end that they went to.
Yeah, that was a bit silly. So that's a shame.
John Wick Chapter 4 also coming out. That is going.
Yes.
I don't know.
We love a bit of John Wick, and obviously the Continental TV series spin-off has been held back a little bit. So that's likely to come out after Chapter 4 has been at the cinemas and finished. We'll get the TV series then, and I think Ian McShane's now going to star in it as well.
Excellent. I think you need it. Maybe that's why they were waiting to get him in it.
Yeah, to get him in.
Impossible 7 also, which was filmed not too far from here. Some of it. There was a quarry scene with a train sequence. In Derbyshire, in fact, in a quarry, and I actually went out there and camped near there and went a walk. You can't see much because I didn't actually get close to it, but I plan to go back and look at that location at some point. So we should get some footage.
Get some photos of that maybe and have a look.
Yeah, but yeah. Nice Indian restaurant, Dave, actually, just around the corner from it. It's only about a 40-minute drive, so I think we should go and investigate with some cameras.
Yeah, could go and have a look at that.
Take a drone with us and go and have a look.
Yeah, might as well. We've got Dune Part 2. I don't know whether you've seen the first one yet, have you?
No.
But that was very good, very rousing score by Hans Zimmer. It was very critically acclaimed. Very good film. Sticks very, very close to the original books.
Yeah.
And I would probably say probably an improvement on the original Dune film from the late 70s, whatever it was. I think the pacing's just better and characters are given a bit more time to be introduced. So I think that's going to be good to see the second part of that. We've got the final Michael Bay Transformers film coming out as well, Rise of the Beasts, which hopefully they've learned lessons from previous films about, what not to do, what to do and what not to do. So hopefully that'll be entertaining and carry on the story a little bit.
Yes.
And going back to DC for a minute, obviously we've got, at the moment, we've still got another Aquaman film coming out, Jason Momoa, Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom, which should be good.
Yeah, interesting to see what they do with that. Certainly interesting.
Yeah, I've enjoyed those films. I think they've done a decent job with them.
Yeah. And again, are they going to continue after this with Jason Momoa as Aquaman?
Jason Momoa. No, we don't know.
Cut the rest. We'll see.
Yeah, so he does.
Amber Heard going to be in it? That's going to be an interesting.
It's going to be very interesting to see where they go with that. We've got Deadpool 3, which has been on the cards for some time. They've kind of been waiting for the right script and the right things to line up to be able to do it. Obviously, that's coming out next year.
With Wolverine in it?
With Hugh Jackman, which was shown in the... they had a clip, didn't they, where they kind of showed him like walking behind Ryan Reynolds in his mock house behind the sofa, and was like, "Oh, if I was having a go at playing Wolverine again," like, "Yeah, okay."
Okay.
Oh well then. So yeah, that should be good fun. Another Deadpool, as we mentioned, the new Ant-Man and the Wasp film, which again the previous ones have been good. So expect them to be good. Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods. I thought the first film was okay. I didn't think it was brilliant, but there is quite a big cult audience for it. I think there is quite a few people do like it, so that'll be good. And the next one's kind of one for you and Arthur Jones.
Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Interesting. There's been little bits of Dungeons and Dragons come out in the past, animated.
Yeah, have not been so good, have they?
Nothing really major Hollywood style stuff. So,
no. In fact, I used to have the 1990s Dungeons and Dragons film on DVD because it was one that I just bought one day and thought it might be good, and yeah, it wasn't great. Same as the old early 2000s Warhammer film. That was terrible as well. And it's actually the only film that me and Frith have fell asleep watching.
Really?
Yeah, it was so long and like so boring. We just ended up falling asleep and like missed about 40 minutes of it. So yeah, hopefully they'll do better with the new ones.
This a little bit quick now towards the end. Yeah. So Guardians of Galaxy 3,
Volume 3,
Marvels, and Stranger Things Series 5.
Also, did you watch the Guardians Holiday Special, by the way?
I didn't. I read some trivia about it. It's the only project without a villain, apparently.
Yeah, I need to watch that. It's good fun. Yeah. And before I came on here, I actually watched the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special,
right.
Disney Plus as well, which was quite funny. It's about Rey and Finn going back. They get a device and they're going back through time and looking at things that's happened through Star Wars history and like interacting with them and stuff. So that's quite funny.
Oh, cool.
So that's really good. Well, say we've got the Marvels, which is prequel to Miss Marvel. We've got Stranger Things 5. That's going to be the end of that franchise, end of that series. So it's going to be really interesting to see that and see who lives, who dies, and what goes on in the Upside Down. And we've got a new Hunger Games as well. Crazily, never thought we'd have a new one of them coming out.
Yeah, interesting. Want to see what they're going to do with
the
that.
Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Interesting title.
I don't know much about it, so I can't really comment.
No, I don't. It's just a title. I don't know what it is.
I hope people are counting the Alan Partridge connections that we're putting into it.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody's trying. There's got to be somebody out there who's keeping a note. We certainly aren't.
What's that? I don't know. It's just a title.
Just title. You don't make it. Sky will.
So yeah, so that's lots of stuff coming next year. And
lots of stuff.
Superman and Lois Series 3 I mentioned earlier as well.
Yeah, going to be. I need to catch up with season 2 of that as well. I think I only got about halfway through, so I need to.
It was really good. I really enjoyed Series 2. I think it just got better and better.
Yeah.
We're hoping Series 3. I'm hoping it does really well because we need them to keep this going. We don't want. Although there was a comment the other day by David Ramsey, who plays Diggle, who said that trust me, the TV DC universe is not dead. There's more coming.
Yeah, it's going to continue on.
So hopefully they've got something else coming. So as we go into, I mean, it's Christmas now, but as we go into the new year, Dave, have you got any New Year's resolutions for next year?
Yeah, I think I've got.
Say it now, it's on record, and I will be asking you about
it. Yeah, there will be a test later, and we'll be making sure you do them. But yeah, I think there's a few next year. I think now things are settling down a little bit with COVID. Try and do a bit more traveling again. I think get around, see some places, jet off and do some stuff. So that'll be one. Second one probably be do a bit more like fitness stuff, a bit more like a few more walks and things like that. I think.
Well, we do have a little bit of an idea for that, don't we, for a Geeky Guys project? Which,
yeah, the old geeky walks and geeky talks.
yeah, I wasn't going to say the title, but it's fine. Yeah,
It's just a title at the minute.
It's just a title at the minute. Geeky Walks and Geeky Talks, which this is just a concept idea at the moment that we've been working on.
Yeah.
But the idea is we go to somewhere, potentially a filming location or wherever, and we walk and we talk. So we're doing
we'll talk about. I think it is
walking, and we're doing sort of a on location podcast, if you like, at the time. So that's something we're going to look at doing. Hopefully, just if we do it as a few specials next year, maybe.
Yeah, I'd probably like to do a 2 or 3 cons next year. I think it'd be nice to go back to the kind of 2-3 times a year again, if budget allows.
We took a break from them mainly because of COVID, but then we took a break from them because, quite frankly, we were soured a little bit by the way Showmasters.
Yeah, so by the way, a certain company had behaved. But yes, do a few more cons, and like you said, they go to some filming locations. That'd be good as well. And what about for you?
Well,
any special New Year's resolutions?
Sorry, excuse me. I'm still eating my cheese and biscuits and my caramelised onion chutney. It's very nice, Dave.
Oh, lovely. Very good.
I like this idea of a Geeky Guys Christmas party where I just sit here and eat cheese and drink wine.
Yeah, it's quite easy to do that, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So yeah, next year. I mean, to be fair, I had resolutions for this year that I didn't make public. And I think I said at the beginning of this year, but I had some, but I was going to keep them to myself. I never did any of them. So they're potentially.
No, you still didn't win the lottery.
No, they're potentially going to roll over into next year. So I'm not going to say too much about what my New Year's resolutions are. They are for me, but I mean, I agree with you. I think stepping up the fitness slightly as we go into the new year is a good idea. I'm just being a bit more self-conscious about, my. Well, I say that now. I'm eating cheese and wine. About my diet, and obviously, like I say, trying to get a bit more exercise in. And I think I'm cheating really because I'm copying you. But yeah, basically try and just get out a little bit more this year, see a few more places, and try and get some more filming locations in.
Yeah, that's it. Now we can. It's all more a case of budget than being locked down, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I think just that. There's a few others, but I'm going to keep those to myself.
Yeah.
But
and I suppose in terms of a resolution, I'd probably say for all of our watchers and listeners is, if there's a few of the things that we've spoken about that you've not watched, that you've not looked at yet, maybe stick them on your lists for next year, and see if there's anything we've liked that you might potentially like as well.
And the other way around, if we've not talked about something and you think, but you missed this, point it out, because
tell us.
Well, I think what we did during COVID, we actually did some Insta Lives where we did a sequence where we talked all about certain Bond films, and we did one where we talked about something else. I can't remember what it was. A Star Trek film. We did so many Star Trek films.
Yeah.
And in between that, we talk about other things as well. But I think maybe that should be something we should bring back for next year, Dave.
Yeah, I think if the interest is there, and we can get a few people on, then it's good fun to do.
Yeah. Come and tell us what you think we should talk about, or whether you should cover a particular thing. Because we generally watched the film and then came on and talked about it, didn't we?
Pretty much.
To do that this year with a film series or something like that. That'd be
good. Yeah, definitely. We can certainly do that.
Maybe something where something else is coming out, so we could perhaps do the John Wicks. Maybe do the 3 specials. For John Wicks ready for the 4th one.
We could do that.
People can comment, tell us what they think.
Do a John Wick marathon up to the release of the new one.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Well, it's been an up and down year. It's been an incredible year, really. To say that we just kind of came out of COVID. I know some places in the world are still having problems, but
still struggling.
Here in the UK, and I know in the US it's calmed down a little bit now, as well as other places. We're almost back to whatever normal is for us, I suppose, at the moment.
Yeah, just about, aren't we?
And we're obviously in the UK here in a position where as a country, the country's deficit and the finances aren't brilliant at the moment. And I know that that's a knock-on effect from other things that are happening in the world. So Russia's invasion and war with Ukraine is obviously
there's a lot of crazy
stuff in the background throughout most of this year. So it would be worth, although we're talking about all these great things that we're happy about, it would be worth just mentioning that there are people this Christmas that aren't quite as fortunate as we are.
No, there's still people living out on the streets. There's still people going hungry. As you said, there's the ongoing war in Ukraine. There's refugees trying to get into countries and struggling to get into them or being turned away to somewhere else. And
there are people just technically being murdered by Russian forces, which that's, let's not sugarcoat it. That's exactly what it is. Putin's decided that he's got a small manhood and he's got to make up for it somehow, and he's decided that invading Ukraine with a war is a good idea. And what a dick move that is.
Apologies to any listeners and watchers we have in Russia.
Well, no, not really, not in Russia. I mean, quite frankly, you should know what he's doing and you should actually be against it. Unfortunately, anyone that says anything about him ends up having an accident. So if I'm not here in a week's time, it's because he's done me in. We've been very careful during this whole thing not to say anything about Elon Musk, because he'd probably try and cancel us and block us as well. Because that's what he's doing about people that say anything negative about him. He just blocks them.
That's kind of a bit all up in the air and going on as well. Isn't it?
There's a lot of small penis syndrome going around at the moment, which I'm going to leave that right there. But it's just, let's end the year on a positive note, which is that, go back to that, we've got lots of geeky stuff happening coming out next year. Hopefully the issues that are happening in the Far East can be resolved, and that can kind of come to a close, we hope. And hopefully people can look at all the stuff that's happening online with Twitter and stuff and just laugh at it, really.
And the other good thing we were talking about the other day from a scientific geeky point of view, we managed to get a rocket to the moon, round the moon and back to Earth without any major issues.
No,
the Artemis program.
That's right, and they are planning manned missions for the next couple of years to go back.
Manned missions to go in orbit, and then manned missions to go to the moon, land on the surface. So that'll be really good, and that's kind of a good example of humans coming together and doing something fantastic for a change.
Absolutely, and it always tends to be science and space. Space always brings, apart from the space race with Russia, but again, let's not talk about that. Apart from that, everything to do with space generally is a big collaboration, and that's nice to see.
It takes so much effort. You need experts from here, there, and everywhere, and you need a lot of money from different places to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mars, of course, the rover and the drone is flying around.
The drone is flying around on Mars, which is a crazy thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So lots of stuff happening. That's really good. And and despite all that not very nice stuff there are lots of great stuff happening. And hopefully we can jump on to positive stuff. Any final messages, Dave?
Well, I suppose it's to wish all of our watchers, listeners, subscribers, followers a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. And we'll see you in 2023 with more of the same and some different stuff as well, and a few changes, and hopefully some exciting stuff coming up going forward.
Absolutely, and I'm excited about some of those changes already that we know are coming, because we can mix up our stuff a little bit, and that's going to be quite interesting. I'll just reiterate it then. So it's just a Merry Christmas from us and a great New Year, and we'll see you in the new year, won't we?
Yeah, keep it geeky, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for watching and listening, guys. Catch you later. Bye.
Bye.